Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia Online, a congregation striving to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. I am Jeff Ordway, and I am so glad to welcome you to our community this morning. We are grateful in our online worship to be able to connect with many folks from Missouri and beyond. Wherever you are connecting from, we welcome you. A few comments about protocol for today's online worship. We are in Zoom and we are streaming live on Facebook. As we are in Zoom's webinar mode, we cannot see or hear you. So feel free to continue to eat your breakfast in your PJs and don't worry if your day is a bit noisy. You'll be able to say hello and to interact with the service through the chat feature on Zoom and in the comments on Facebook. If you're with us on Zoom, please make sure you select panelists and attendees so everyone can see your comments. This will be particularly useful if you wish to share a joy or sorrow when we reach that portion of the service. A few notes about accessibility. We are using Zoom's native auto-captioning service, which means you will see automatically generated subtitles at the bottom of your screen. If you prefer, you can hide or alter those subtitles by clicking the closed caption button on your screen. We know that auto captioning is never entirely accurate, but we hope it is close enough to be helpful. We will also be providing spoken descriptions of the videos and images that we use. And we'd like to invite you to please contact us if you have any other accessibility or inclusion needs that we can strive to meet in our online worship. If this is your first time worshiping with us, we would like to also invite you to fill out a digital visitor's card at the link provided in the chat. Let us know a little bit about you. Our minister, the Reverend Molly Hausch-Gordon, is away on sabbatical until August 2nd, and we are honored during that time to be served by the Reverend Dr. C.W. Dawson as our sabbatical minister. This morning, we are having a lay-led service, which means that our message will be provided by members of our church community: Alan Arnold, Carrie Bursley, Barbara Carter, and Connie Ordway. I would like to thank the folks who make our online worship possible, as well as those people. Thank you today for our online usher, Jackie Bell. And as always, we are incredibly grateful to our amazing staff, April Rodagero running slides, Erin Dyka-Holly preparing our digital liturgy, religious educator Jamila Batchelder, musical director Jeremy Wagner, and our pianist Hans Bridger-Harith. Our prelude, Durable Groove, was written and performed by Sam Otten, a member of this church. The video begins with Sam, who has pink beige skin and wears a t-shirt, sitting at a grand piano in a room with electric guitars on the wall. As he plays, in turn, each of three pale-skinned, light-haired children sits at the piano and plays along with Sam for a short period of time. Will you please take a deep breath, find a comfortable position for your body, and sink into this time of inspiration and this space of renewal with the help of our musician. a bit about butterflies. The making of a butterfly begins with the egg. It hatches into a caterpillar, which eventually, after eating its fill, forms a chrysalis. And inside that chrysalis, there's a lot that's going on. The body of the caterpillar actually dissolves until it's mostly goo. And then out of that form the wings, the antenna, the legs. It all takes about 2 weeks, give or take a few days. Eventually, the butterfly is ready to emerge. However, when it does, it cannot immediately fly. The wings are small and wet, and it does not have the muscle strength necessary to get itself aloft. It takes time. The wings need to expand to their full size, to dry. Muscles need to develop. Only after this time, only then is the transformation complete. Only then can this beautiful creature take its place in the world and soar. Please join us from home in singing our hymn of response, I Know This Rose Will Open. The lyrics will appear on the screen and in the chat. Our video shows Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, the Director of Worship and Music at the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, a man with tawny brown skin wearing a light blue button-up shirt. He appears singing in 5 vertical windows, one for each part he recorded separately for this arrangement of the round.
I know this rose will open, I know my fear will burn away, I know my soul will unfurl its wings, I know this rose will open. I know, 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 I know this rose, I know this rose, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul, I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this rose, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this rose, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul, I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this rose, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul will unfurl my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose will open, I know my fear will burn away, I know my soul will unfurl its wings, soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know my fear will burn away, I know my soul will unfurl its wings, soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open, 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 fear will open, open, soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
We now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith in the community that holds us, and the bright flame of the human spirit that unites us. As we share an image of our church chalice on the screen, you may wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for a digital chalice. Please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, our country, and our world to share our weekly words of affirmation shown on the slide and shared in the chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I think my favorite part of this time of reemergence has been the opportunity for chance encounters with all of you. The grocery store, parking lots, the farmer's market. The other day, I was dropping off one of our spirituality kits on the stoop of Camden Daly's house. For those of you who aren't familiar, our spirituality kits are boxes full of spiritual activities and meditations for families to do together. And by chance, Camden and his 3-year-old son, Soren, were out walking the dog. And 6 months ago, we might have waved from a distance and said a quick hello. And I could have done that on this day. I had plenty of work to get back to. But instead, we sat together on the grass, catching up, telling stories, laughing, watching Soren explore everything. And Soren wanted to open up the box, and so we did. And inside was a meditation on practicing being present to the moment. And it occurred to me that is exactly what I wanted to be practicing right now. Practicing experiencing what is happening right now, being fully present to these moments of connection with others that we have all waited for so long. So let's do this meditation together. Begin by looking at your left hand and giving it all of your attention. Look at all your fingers and the lines in your hand. Wiggle your fingers and squeeze your hand into a fist and release it. Open your hand as wide as it can go and then relax it. Let your hand feel full of sensation. And then touch the tip of your index finger to your thumb and press them firmly together. Let every bit of your attention go to that point of contact for one deep breath. And then as you breathe out, release. And on your next deep breath in, touch your thumb to your middle finger and give it all your attention. And breathe out and release. And then your ring finger. And then your pinky finger. And back to your ring finger. Middle finger. Index finger. And as you finish, breathe out and let your whole hand relax. Fingers falling into a natural curl. And take a few deep breaths, imagining your gentle attention held within the cup of your fingers. And now move to your right hand. Look at it with full attention. Wiggle, squeeze it, stretch it. Energize your hand. And now begin breathing in and breathing out, bringing each finger to your thumb and with it your attention. Index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, ring finger, middle finger, index finger. And at last, hold that gentle attention cupped in your whole hand. Place both gently cupped hands on your knees and let your eyelids relax and close. Feel how that gentle attention has grown even bigger, held in both hands now. Feel it continue to grow, surrounding your whole body, the space surrounding you, encompassing this whole moment. Take a few more deep breaths and sit with that gentle attention. And now bring your hands together in front of you at your heart. To gather your attention back to your center. Press your hands firmly together and take one more deep breath in and out. Open your eyes and release your hands. May we be present to ourselves in this moment, to what we are feeling, to how we have changed and are continuing to change, to new understandings and insights. May we be present to each other, to our connection, to truly being with each other. May we be present to this time, unlike any other, as we emerge into it together.
And now, as we share an image of lit candles and our joys and sorrows stones on the screen, I would like to invite you to bring your loving attention and compassionate presence to our community. Let us hold one another in heart across the distance, remembering our connections and feeling that we are held in love amid life's sorrows and joys alike, now and always. I will begin by sharing the joys and sorrows submitted at our website, and then I will invite those gathered to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. We join our hearts with Kristen Flynn Peters and Clark Peters, who are members of our church. Clark's mother recently died. Please hold them in your thoughts and prayers. Linda Lou Brown's husband, Robert, has died. Please hold her and their family in your thoughts and prayers as well. Linda Lou appreciates cards and phone calls. And now I invite those of you gathered to share your personal joys and sorrows in the chat. Please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer with words by Sarah Eileen Lawal. Spirit of life and love, in the silence, in the stillness, we hear the call of our own heart, its tender dreams, its sorrows, and its triumphs. In the silence, in the stillness, we hear whispers of days gone by, of dreams still becoming, the promise of the future. We celebrate together our individual journeys and dreams, as well as our collective ones, knowing the journey is so much richer with others to share in it. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen. I invite you now to sing along with Spirit of Life by Carolyn McDade. Nylea Butler-Moore arranged the hymn for choir, and it is sung by the UU virtual singers of the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. The slide includes the lyrics, which also appear in the chat, and a photo of 10 yellow and black butterfly cocoons hanging from a branch. One butterfly is beginning to emerge.
Good morning, everyone. Where do I begin? How do I human? Who am I? Who are you? Is it really safe? What does the word safe mean? Emerging from the pandemic, it feels much more like integrating to me. I'm not the same person that I was, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am today. I am changed, as we all are. As we emerge into this new, somewhat post-COVID-19 landscape, I think about the things that I've gained and the things that I've lost. The pandemic had a way of coming in and shining a light on the things that were essential, the problems that were no longer workable, and the foibles and weaknesses that I could no longer run from. Everything that had a shaky foundation crumbled spectacularly into mountains of rubble all around me. My marriage ended. My other family members and I were suddenly thrust together, working from home, learning at home, and coping with isolation and sometimes what felt like too much togetherness. My job as a therapist became more complicated as I provided support to people who were struggling with anxiety and depression and everything that comes with collective trauma. Trying to balance home and work life while literally working from home seemed impossible. I found myself dealing with confusion and the inability to move forward with things, being forgetful, experiencing brain fog, and barely holding it together. I had to take a step back from doing therapy and start doing intakes only with new people walking through the door. And there were so many people. Worries about family members getting sick, even though they were taking all the precautions, stayed at the forefront of my mind. Feeling cooped up, isolated, away from friends and away from a routine that got me out of the house, along with feelings of grief and loss, persuaded me to seek my own therapy. Feelings of anger overcame me as I would go into the community and see people not wearing masks, flagrantly disregarding the danger, not seeming to care if they caused others to get sick. And now here we are in June of 2021, and we are again faced with a new landscape. Not like the way the world looked before 2020, but moving towards some resemblance of a new normal. I had the chance to come back to Columbia the first weekend in May and see friends in person that I hadn't seen in over a year. It was surreal, finally being able to sit with friends, eating breakfast, even if we ate outdoors and kept our masks on for the most part. A few weeks later, the new recommendations from the CDC came out indicating that vaccinated people no longer needed to wear masks. As I venture back into normalcy, I find that face-to-face contact is a novelty, both scary and essential. Scary because it's amazing how one can forget how to human in 14 months. Essential because in isolation, I've learned never to take community and being able to gather with friends and family for granted. I've become a different person. I've learned the essentials of what I need to truly survive, including slowing down long enough to take a breath. I've learned the importance of sitting with difficult feelings rather than letting them fester. I've learned that communication and being able to express myself and my boundaries is vital to my continued mental and spiritual health, and a major tool in maintaining my resiliency. I've become intimately familiar with grief and loss and how as a culture, we often don't grieve very well. With nowhere to go and nothing much to do outside of being at home, working or not working, I had to confront my grief head on. There was no place where I could escape grief. I had to sit with it because there were no alternatives. I'm still grieving, but being able to sit with the losses that I've experienced and being accepting of what is has given me an unexpected sense of peace. Much of the worry and anxiety of the pandemic has begun to subside as the last family member in our household has been vaccinated. I'm finally able to walk into a grocery store without a mask, without feeling a sense of panic that I'm not doing something right or that I'm putting myself at risk. I've been able to see family and catch up in person. I haven't yet stepped into the typical therapist role of actually providing therapy yet. I'm not sure exactly when I'll be ready to go back to being a therapist full time. I'm slowly learning to be okay with that and to take better care of myself. The words emerging from the pandemic seem hopeful. I suppose I'm emerging on some level, but I also largely feel like I'm still in a cocoon of sorts. It's messy and gooey and incredibly chaotic and dark in here, but I'm changing and my life is changing. Everything is being remolded into something new. I'm excited, intimidated, and yes, even a little anxious about what that new future will look like as it unfolds. holds. Only time will tell who I become and how my story will continue. Thank you.
Emerging from a pandemic. Honestly, I don't really want to emerge. I find it hard to believe how much solitude my extrovert heart craves. Zoom meetings fill my need for connection and companionship. In fact, I have never seen so much of my adult siblings before. I might be the only one here who could happily Zoom everything forever. By happy circumstance, I was set to retire anyway at the end of the last school year from my job as a secretary at Rockbridge High School. It happened that I went home on March 13th and never came back. So I began my retirement a bit early, and a good thing too, because I had a terrible time adjusting. Things were different. I didn't go to work anymore. I didn't wake up to an alarm clock. My kids didn't get on the school bus each morning. But things were also the same. Since we live on a farm in progress, I still fed the chickens each morning and weeded the tomatoes and mowed the yard. I just did these things without the breaks I expected to have to, for instance, go to the gym or eat lunch with friends, volunteer at the food bank, or even go grocery shopping, events I had thought would fill my life in retirement. It was hard to retire. That classic question of, who am I if I'm not a worker, was a tough one for me. I am reminded of the story of caterpillars who emerge from their cocoons to begin life as butterflies. Sometimes well-meaning people, hoping to spare this new life such a painful struggle, will open their cocoons by hand and take the butterflies out. This act of kindness does not end well, however. Apparently, the process of pushing one's way out of a cocoon stimulates blood flow to the wings. When deprived of this effort, they are never able to fly and quickly die. The struggle involved in coming to terms with myself as a retiree, plus learning to live 24/7 with my husband and my kids, and continuing the creation of our hobby farm has pumped blood into my new butterfly wings. I feel the ability to fly through this new, different life of farm chores, rural neighbors, and the deep blackness of night out in the boonies. For me, this re-emergence that others talk about has not happened, will never happen to the extent that younger working people are experiencing it. Instead, I have found a way to be at peace with myself and my new life while experiencing the gift of lockdown and isolation. It is amazing to know that one enjoys one's own company enough that the idea of climbing in the car and going places has lost much of its luster. I love people, I do. And I will happily Zoom with the lot of you at our very next meeting. Our musical interlude is My Life Flows On. The hymn is performed by Michael Frye-Hunt on piano and melodica, and Dorothy Frye-Hunt vocals. The lyrics are shown on the video against a dim image of a church in the background with a lit candle in the foreground. You will also find the lyrics in the chat.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far-off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I What though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth that liveth. What though the darkness round me grows, songs in the night it giveth. No storm could shake my inmost heart, while to the rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are ringing. Same friends but shame or undefiled, how can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing?
Since the beginning of the last year, our lives have been transformed by things astonishing and terrible. The COVID-19 pandemic has taken center stage and affected nearly every person and principality on this planet. Now, after a long struggle, it seems like we're finally stepping into the light at the tunnel's end, and it has felt wonderful to shake hands and embrace friends again, at least for now. The embers of the virus continue to flare into wildfires of suffering around the world, even as we take respite from our struggles. At the beginning of the pandemic, I confess that I was shell-shocked, like so many. I was gripped with both fear and fascination. The progress of the virus was like a tsunami. Eluding it was uncertain, and there seemed no outrunning it. It could only be observed with wonder and horror as it washed into every corner of the land. Though I was more fortunate in my circumstances than many, the enduring presence of the disease took its toll on my psyche. I became hyper-focused on the news and the state of the world, hungry for some sign that we were getting a handle on the disease. I followed every aspect of the pandemic, from its spread to its biology and the quest for a vaccine. I know that I was not alone in this. Somewhere in my research, in my search for hope, my perception of COVID-19 began to change. The virus, with its many mutations, began to transform from scourge to prophetic messenger. It began to tell us things, not merely about itself, but uncomfortable things about ourselves. It revealed societal weaknesses and seemed to thrive in the cracks of our damaged social and material systems. We found the virus was disproportionately affecting and bringing more severe outcomes to marginalized peoples than to whites, especially those of means. The inequities that we have allowed to persist in our society were being illuminated in the opportunistic predations of this virus. And at a time when good leadership could have saved hundreds of thousands of lives, COVID-19 exposed incompetence and blithe indifference at the highest levels of government. Those meant to protect us rosined up their bows and fiddled like Nero as Rome was awash in flames. The pandemic also placed unimaginable stress on our capitalist system, causing it to buckle in numerous places. Food supplies were threatened and broken. We faced critical shortages of medical supplies, and the healthcare system itself was ill-prepared for the onslaught. Even now, we're still feeling the aftershocks of these things. In addition to highlighting problems of which we've long been aware, the pandemic became a tipping point for numerous long-standing social tensions. Injustices traditionally eclipsed by our demanding daily lives were pushed to the forefront. In the throes of COVID-19, when we needed understanding and support from our leadership, many of them responded by invoking new levels of authoritarian repression ignoring the needs of the people. Peaceful protests were met with increasingly brutal police responses. I confess that for a while, I experienced a sense of ennui and futility as our political machinery seemed to draft on the lowest impulses of humanity. The conflict between the public interest and the interests being served by our political leaders seemed to be falling toward disproportionately powerful moneyed interests. Our republic appeared to be teetering on the edge of a fall to capitalism run amok. And then something occurred to me. Perhaps the struggles that were playing out suggested genuine panic and fear on the part of those in power. The upsurge of voter suppression legislation and right-wing violence, for example, may feel like acts of power consolidation, but instead might simply be acts of naked desperation. America is growing increasingly diverse, and the failures of our socioeconomic system are more widely perceived. Outrage at the structural racism which has been tolerated for far too long in our country is growing. Our struggle may be far from over, but I feel like the numbers are shifting in the favor of what is right and just. As of this moment, it is hard to say whether we're truly emerging from the pandemic or just coming up for air. What seems clear, though, is that we will be a healthier and more resilient society if we heed the lessons of the pandemic. Normal has long been broken, and going back to it will not lead us out of the woods. To survive and thrive, we need to move forward. We must grow into the lessons of the pandemic. I've come to realize that the work of making a just world will never cease, but that's okay. We will only lose if we give up the fight. In the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, people wish to be settled, but only as far as they are unsettled is there any hope for them. So please join me in taking heart. The job of building our future is ours alone, and I feel confident that we're up to it.
This morning, I opened Facebook to the Unitarian Universalist Hysterical Society. They had a picture of Calvin and Hobbes crossing a stream, and it said, "There is never enough time to do all the nothing we want to do." That would be me. When we first went into lockdown, I really enjoyed it. For the first time in my life, I had enough me time. I could sit there every day doing exactly as I pleased. I didn't even get in my car for the first 2 months. Oh, as time went on, it got a little old. I started to have some cabin fever. I was wishing it was safe to go wander through a hardware store, go out to dinner. But all in all, it was relaxing and restful. Now that we are in the great return, I can do some of those things I had missed again, but I find that I really don't want to. I don't want to return to that frantic schedule again. I want to continue to have long days with nothing in particular to do. As I start going out again, I find the world overwhelming in many ways. Take my exercise classes, which amazingly enough, I always enjoyed. Before lockdown, I was going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. Physically, I was in better shape than I have ever been. As time has gone on, my body has told me about all this inactivity, and I was glad to get vaccinated and be able to get back to exercise classes safely. The reality was not as pleasant. During lockdown, I had been staying up later and later at night, then sleeping until I woke up. No alarm clocks, no schedule to keep. When I wake, I have been spending the first hour or so lounging around in my robe, reading or playing silly computer games. To get to exercise class on time, even the latest one, I have to actually get up and get going in the morning. Then I have to eat something right away instead of poking around 2 hours later with a slice of toast and coffee. I feel rushed and out of sorts before I ever get dressed. Of course, I have to get dressed to go out, and it can't be my sloppy jeans and torn old t-shirt. I have to have showered in the recent past. I have to find something I can wear out in public. And a bra. Damn, a bra? Really? But okay, I get dressed and grab my gym bag and out the door I go. For a long time, when I did get in the car, the traffic was pretty peaceful. I could putter down the road at my own pace, not having to worry too much about somebody running a red light or diving around me into oncoming traffic. Now we are right where we were before, with lots of cars and 18-wheelers and all of them in a rush. Does it never occur to anybody to start 5 or 10 minutes earlier so they don't have to move so fast? It's the attack of the drones, everyone speeding along, looking stressed, which stresses me. I get to the gym and, oh my, so many people. Not as many as there were before the lockdown, and many of the same familiar faces, but there are just so many of them. After a year of isolation, I feel as if I am inundated in others. Then there's the class itself. My body is no longer used to this. The first couple classes, I was in pain for 2 or 3 days. Tylenol was my friend. It's gradually getting better, but I'm still only up to 2 sessions a week. The thing is, I'm not sure when or if I'm going to want to do more. Then after class, there are any errands that need done, in spite of feeling as if I have been run over by one of those great big trucks, and then the drive back home. About all I get done the rest of the day is lie on the sofa and moan. I'm just glad I'm retired. I can't imagine how difficult this return would be if I had to go back to being in a work setting full time. I don't want to go back to my same hectic schedule again. 5 or 6 days a week, going each week now feels like too much. I enjoy my volunteer work, but I'm sure I don't want to go somewhere virtually every day. The problem is I do enjoy all the things I was doing before. There are just too many of them. I need to figure this out. I need to find an easier schedule. I'm taking it slow, trying to find a better balance in my life, but it feels as if I am being pushed back into frantic by a world that cannot imagine another way of being. I'm not ready to come out of lockdown. Can I take it slow for just a little while longer, please?
Now is the time in our service when we join in the spiritual practice of generosity, guiding our hearts away from the fear and scarcity of it all, and remembering that it is by sharing and supporting one another that we feel most human. The song we share with you for our offertory is On the Day We Are Together Again by Humbird. The video shows the musical group's singer-songwriter, Siri Undlin, sitting in front of an upright piano near the entry of a house. You can see the strings and hammers inside the piano, and it is surrounded by houseplants. Siri wears a collared sage green velvet shirt and orange pants. Her skin is beige with pink undertones, and her dark blonde hair is loosely pulled up into a high ponytail.
On the day we are together again, on the day we are together again, I will pull you in close like a hoop with no end. On the day we are together again, we will share the same table again. We will share the same table again. I'll pass you the salt, the candlelight will bend when we eat at the same table again. We will walk around the block hand in hand. We will walk around the block hand in hand. We'll stop for a snack at the taco truck stand. We will walk around the block hand in hand. Someday we will go back to work. Someday we will go back to work. May we be among people who respect our work. Someday we will go back to work. I will help the strangers I meet. I will help the strangers I meet. It is possible to get back on our feet. I will help the strangers I meet. I will write you a letter for now. I will write you a letter for now. Hope is a message that survives somehow. I will write you a letter for now. To the healers who keep us alive. To the healers who keep us alive. A toast to your courage, knowledge, and light. To the healers who keep us alive. And the ones we love who are gone. And the ones who we love that are gone. We remember the stories, we sing the songs for the ones we love who are gone. And on the day we are together again, on the day we are together again, I will pull you in close like a hoop with no end. On the day we are together again.
Merriam-Webster defines the word emerge as an intransitive verb with the following definitions. 1, to become manifest, become known. 2, to rise from or as if from an enveloping fluid, to come out into view. 3, to rise from an obscure or inferior position or condition. And 4, to come into being through evolution. As we step back into being a part of our larger community, let us remember to be gentle with ourselves as we reintegrate. As we become manifest again, rising from what sometimes felt like oblivion and remembering who we have become. Let us be true to our evolution over the last year and a half as we decide just how far and just how fast we are willing to go in our return. Today, our ritual closing words, written by Reverend Wayne Arneson and uttered so often by our own Reverend Molly Hausch-Gordon, seem somehow ultimately appropriate. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard and the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage. For deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone. Go in blessing, dear ones, and be a blessing to a world that needs our care. Please join me in singing our benediction. The words are on your screen and in the chat.
Now on leaving one another, may we give of hand and heart. Let us share our benediction, lovingly before we part.
Please join us at the link in the chat or the meeting ID on the slide for our coffee hour when we get a chance to see one another's faces and catch up in our small breakout rooms. Thank you for spending a part of your morning with us, and have a wonderful day.